Welcome back to DFC Books. Today we're ripping the cover off a volume that masterfully blends high fantasy political espionage with the deeply personal chaos of maintaining a double life.
It's a fantastic combination.
It really is. We're talking about a world where the quietest girl in the classroom is secretly the most powerful force in the kingdom, and the stakes in this volume have just gone stratospheric.
That's absolutely right. We are deep diving into Secrets of the Silent Witch, Volume 6 by Matsuri Isora. And you're right, this volume is a pivot point. It successfully concludes the narrative threads woven during the winter holidays and then immediately throws our protagonist, Monica Everett, back into the most intense political and magical conflict she has faced yet at Serendia Academy.
Yeah, this isn't just about high school antics anymore.
Not at all. This is about a clandestine war, a war involving ancient artifacts, spirit corruption, and the relentless, suffocating pressure of a dual identity.
The sources we have, the articles, the detailed analysis, the chapter breakdowns, they really give us the tools we need to navigate this labyrinth of deception. We're moving beyond just summarizing the plot. We're dissecting the tactical genius behind the political maneuvering and the sheer physics of the high-level magecraft on display.
Our mission today is pretty comprehensive. We want to do a thorough analysis of the structural escalation, focusing specifically on character motivations, the key strategic event in each of the 11 chapters, and of course the overarching theme of how political control represented by Duke Clockford is attempting to annex and corrupt the world of high-level magecraft.
And the very spirits that underpin it.
Exactly.
The genius of this story, I think, is how it uses these seemingly small moments, a slice of life, a fake diary, a shared tea party, a spontaneous picnic, to mask these, existential threats.
Absolutely.
The central theme here is confrontation, and not just the physical confrontation of epic magic battles, but confrontations with one's past, specifically the execution of Monica's father.
Which comes back in a huge way.
A huge way. Then confrontations with incredibly powerful political enemies like Duke Clockford, and the terrifying constant confrontation with the idea that your entire life is a perfectly orchestrated performance designed to fool the kingdom's most dangerous spies. Okay, let's unpack this.
Before we tackle the plot's rising action, we really need to map the power brokers and the political alignments, because Volume 6 demands that you know exactly who is working for whom and what capacity they bring to the fight.
Absolutely. The tension begins and ends with our hero, Monica Everett. Known to the world as the Silent Witch, one of the 7 sages, her technical skill is just legendary. The source material is adamant that her magecraft is defined by this unprecedented, enchanted precision. She has the ability to thread the eye of a needle with her spells.
And we need to pause on that because it's not just a cool phrase.
Yeah.
It means she can perform these highly complex, multi-layered spell calculations silently, instantly, and with zero margin for error. Think about the computational effort and mana control that requires. That is what defines a sage.
Yet, the second she steps inside Serendia Academy,
Yeah.
she has to shed all of that godlike competence and become Monica Norton.
The timid, withdrawn student.
Yeah, and the sources stress the psychological and physical costs of this duality in Volume 6. She's still dealing with that lingering, traumatic pain in her left hand from the Cursed Dragon incident.
And that injury is no small detail. It affects her grip, it requires immense mental effort just to mask its weakness, and it becomes this critical vulnerability that her enemies, specifically Felix, are actively looking for.
The stress of constant vigilance, avoiding social cues, and just perpetually living a lie, it's an overwhelming burden.
Okay, let's turn to the other sages, particularly the 3 young sages who are kind of forced together by this crisis. First up, Luis Miller, the Barrier Mage.
He's the strategic counterweight to the Gem Mage, right?
Yeah.
Supporting the First Prince's faction. His whole expertise lies in defensive spellcasting, specifically barriers.
And when we talk about Louis' barriers, we're talking high-tier defensive magic. The sources note he can utilize barriers up to Class 2 capacity.
For context, most standard mages would struggle to hold a Class 4 barrier for more than a few seconds.
Exactly. A Class 2 barrier is capable of reflecting or absorbing major attack spells. It puts him in a league reserved for, military defense or high-stakes protection. His strategic mind is key, and his personal crisis in this volume is the inexplicable severance of his contract with his high wind spirit, Rin's Belfeed.
Which is what immediately alerts him that the Gem Mage has some kind of new weapon.
It's the first domino to fall for him.
Next, Ray Albright, the Abyss Shaman. He's described as gloomy, deeply lovesick, perpetually seeking connection, but he's secretly Monica's most reliable co-investigator.
And it's all about the shaman trader and her father's execution. He's her one real link to her past in this investigation.
His powers are intense. The sources give us this really visceral example of his control. During the New Year's assembly, he instantly withers Raoul's mana-infused rose, a living magical object.
Yeah, with a subtle, undetectable curse, just to prove that Raoul's eavesdropping spell was illegal. It's a power move.
A huge power move.
Ray's magecraft deals in curses and deep mana manipulation, which is elite family and society in general views with suspicion, maybe even shame.
Right.
This background is why he tends toward darkness and loneliness. He believes his true, immense power is inherently dirty or embarrassing, but this power is what makes him uniquely suited to tracking magical corruption.
And then there's Raoul Roseberg, the Witch of Thorns. He presents as this handsome, overly enthusiastic guy, always trying to make friends, but his power is, well, it's terrifying.
It really is. He controls plant magecraft and uses these illegal sound collection spells through mana-infused flowers. His ancestor, Rebecca Roseberg, was the original Witch of Thorns.
Infamous in history as the wickedest woman in the kingdom.
Right. And that lineage has burdened Rel, making genuine connection incredibly difficult despite his desperate efforts. His motivation is perhaps the most pure and yet the most strategically useful. He just wants friends.
He confesses his ability to eavesdrop to Monica and Ray because he wants to join their group.
Which proves that sometimes, the simplest human desire can be the greatest asset in a political thriller. His ability to maintain the Duke's mansion gardens gives the team a crucial, unexpected point of access.
Okay, let's shift to the antagonists among the sages. Emmanuel Darwin, the Gem Mage. He is the central magical antagonist of this arc, and he is vehemently backing the Second Prince and Duke Clockford.
The Gem Mage is fascinating because he is defined by a significant flaw: low mana capacity. Unlike the other sages, who are these, mana powerhouses, Emmanuel is a mana minimalist.
But he's a genius craftsman, a true artisan of magical items.
And that deficit drives his ambition. He compensates for his lack of raw magical power by creating items that can imbue or reflect massive amounts of mana. He needs political influence and the resources of the Second Prince's faction to expand his enterprise. That's why he's so aggressively courting Monica at the New Year's feast.
And Louis's mockery of his capacity is so cutting, precisely because it hits at the core insecurity that fuels Emmanuel's dangerous quest for power.
Exactly. Now, on to the royals, the political chess masters. Felix Arquidil, the Second Prince and Student Council president. Handsome, charming, seemingly competent, but politically positioned as a puppet of his grandfather, Duke Clockford.
But Felix is not a simple villain. He is strategically searching for the Silent Witch with terrifying specificity. He believes she is short, possibly in the intermediate course, and critically has an injured left hand.
He's using hard evidence from the Cursed Dragon incident to narrow his search. It proves that while he might be his grandfather's puppet politically, he is independently intelligent and extremely dangerous in his investigation.
His elder brother, Lionel Bram Edward Burdil, the first prince, is the pragmatic one. Muscular, stern, better suited for the battlefield than diplomacy, but focused entirely on the security of the kingdom.
Lionel understands the political realities. He recognizes that Felix is the preferred political successor, but Lionel's concern is stability and security. He is the anchor for Louis and the faction that worries about Duke Clockford's overarching ambition. He's the opposite of his grandfather, focused on integrity over manipulation.
And then the unexpected wild card, Albert Frau Roberia Redil, the third prince, a transfer student who is basically a royal hostage due to his mother's alignment with Duke Clockford.
Albert adds this wonderful layer of comic relief and political confusion. He's hyper-competitive with Felix, but his attempts to undermine his brother are just comically misguided.
He believes the best way to win is to poach Felix's favorite students, Monica and Glenn.
Right, which leads to these bizarre, misinterpreted overtures that actually help solidify Monica's fake cover. It's brilliant.
Okay, finally, our essential allies. Glenn Dudley, Louis's apprentice, high mana capacity, former butcher boy. He's suffering from the psychological weight of the Cursed Dragon attack and his own perceived uselessness in that battle.
Glenn is struggling with trauma. That feeling of helplessness drives him to secretly attempt quick chanting, which is a highly advanced military spellcasting technique that requires immense discipline and computational speed. He's pushing himself way too hard, risking physical and magical burnout.
And Monica sees this strain, which motivates her to intervene despite the risks to her cover.
Then there's Cyril Ashley, the Earnest Student Council VP. foster son of Marquis Highhound, master of ice magecraft.
Cyril is the epitome of the dutiful, rigid aristocrat. He is genuinely concerned about the well-being of his underclassmen, embodying responsibility even when facing impossible situations.
And his adherence to etiquette, even in a crisis, is both his defining characteristic and a great source of irony in this volume.
We absolutely cannot forget the unsung heroes of deception. The Norton family, the dazzling villains, Count Kerbeck, Isabel, and the maid Agatha.
This is perhaps the most brilliant piece of counterintelligence we see in the whole book. The Norton family's entire existence as villains who torment their adopted daughter is a high-stakes, flawlessly executed performance.
They hired Sandy, a commoner, to play the role of Monica Norton, the tortured noble girl, during the winter break.
And the sources reveal that Sandy, the carrot farmer's daughter, auditioned fiercely for this role and considers the torture like drinking stable water on cue a wonderful job because she gets paid well and when off stage is treated to fine food and soft beds.
The Count even grows a ridiculously long villainous mustache just to look the part.
It's incredible. This willingness to weaponize their social standing and common gossip is a masterclass in strategic obfuscation. They've created an impenetrable, low-tech magical shield for the real Silent Witch.
The sheer magnitude of this conspiracy, where the most powerful mage in the kingdom relies on a staged performance of cruelty by a noble family, really sets the stage for Act 1.
It does. And we dive directly into the climax of the winter break with the prologue, the dazzling family of villains pre-solstice show. This is our first real insight into the depth of the counter-espionage.
The staged torture is the key event here. An outside detective, hired by some noble girl whose identity is still obscured, comes to investigate the rumors that Monica Norton is being cruelly treated.
And the scene is just perfect. Isabel forces Sandy the stand-in to drink from a stable puddle, while the Count loudly rages about her ungrateful nature. The detective leaves, fully convinced that Monica Norton is a real, miserable, and insignificant target.
What's fascinating is the analysis of this act post-event. The Norton family isn't just cruel for show, they are strategically brilliant. They have successfully weaponized common rumor and social assumptions. Who would ever suspect the true Silent Witch is hiding behind a smokescreen of noble pettiness?
And the Count refuses to pursue the detective. He prioritizes the integrity of their performance over eliminating a single spy. This established a flawless alibi for Monica over the entire holiday, confirming her status as an outcast and non-threat.
So the political stage is then formally set in Chapter 1, the three young sages assemble. The pivot point is Raoul joining the hunt.
It starts right after the New Year's Magecraft dedication, where Monica executed the incredibly complex Alteria chime spell, a stunning display of technical genius. And she's so overloaded by the resulting applause that she short-circuits. She passes out while perfectly upright, making the strained little pish noise.
And the public reaction to Monica's brilliance only fuels the sage rivalry. Emmanuel Barwin immediately jumps in, trying to recruit Monica to the Second Princess faction, using flattery and referencing her shared fight with Felix.
Louis, equally quick, counters by publicly mocking Emmanuel's low mana capacity, driving a deeper wedge between the two sages who are clearly vying for political alignment.
But the true strategic move of this chapter happens offstage. Cyril, nervous about his upcoming presentation, runs into Raoul Roseberg, who is disguised as a handsome gardener in a straw hat, using mana-infused flowers to eavesdrop.
An illegal sound collection spell, which is a major transgression, but it serves a vital plot function.
He overhears Ray and Monica discussing Duke Clockford's possible orchestration of the Cursed Dragon incident.
Yes, and Ray reveals that the Duke had sought information on controlling living creatures using cursed tools. This directly links the most powerful political figure in the kingdom to the tragedy that caused Monica's trauma and exposed her identity to Felix.
So Raoul, terrified of being exposed but desperate for a genuine connection, confesses his eavesdropping, offers his access to the Duke's property, and is thus inducted into the secret investigative team. Monica, Ray, and Raoul.
This alliance is rooted not in politics or duty, but in a mixture of suspicion, revenge, and a desperate desire for friendship. It's a beautifully ironic foundation for a high-stakes espionage team.
And this suspicion immediately leads into Chapter 2. I only have one thing to say, where the political pressure mounts at the Royal New Year's feast. The critical moment here is Duke Clockford's pressure.
The sources paint the Duke as a pure political strategist. Before he even appears, Mary Harvey, the Starseer Witch, gives Louis an ominous warning that the sage's star is obscured, signaling that their autonomy is under threat.
Louis, viewing the feast as a chessboard, knows the game is already in play.
So the Duke, the kingdom's most influential man and the true power behind Prince Felix, summons Monica. This isn't a friendly chat. It's a cold, calculated act of intimidation.
He attempts to force her into becoming Felix's official bodyguard. But more importantly, he unveils his ultimate goal, the creation of a powerful chief sage position that he plans to control entirely through a future King Felix.
He states with brutal clarity, Felix will be king eventually, and he will do what I say.
That is a direct assault on the sage's independence. It threatens to turn the kingdom's magical defense into a political tool controlled by one noble house.
Monica, though terrified and completely silent, refuses. And here's where the psychological toll manifests. She experiences a flash of pure, unadulterated rage, an emotion so strong that it almost compels her to cast a devastating, enchanted spell right there in front of the Duke.
She realizes that her personal history, her father's political execution, is being played out again in the kingdom's present, and it's pushing her resolve to its absolute limit.
That political confrontation immediately bleeds into her school life in Chapter 3, A Letter from Bernie Jones. And the immediate threat is that Felix's suspicion narrows to the point of cracking her cover.
Right. First, the preparation for the inevitable return to school. Isabel hands Monica the incredibly detailed fake diary. This document chronicles Isabel's invented, cruel mistreatment of Monica Norton during the break, confirming every rumor and detailing the Count's newly grown mustache.
Monica realizes she has to internalize this fabricated traumatic past to maintain the illusion and protect her future. It's a heavy burden.
But the true crisis hits during a student council meeting. Felix, moving with frightening speed and precision, has clearly been working through the suspects. He asks the council to help him find a girl who is short, possibly in the intermediate course, and the damning detail, has an injured left hand.
And Monica is sitting right next to him. She's on the brink of fainting from panic.
She has to desperately fake the strength in that left hand, clenching her fist and controlling her facial expression to convince Felix that the injury is not hers.
Felix pushes further. He casually references her ability as a sage to gauge a person's height just by looking. This exchange confirms that Felix is not a simple puppet. He is a shrewd investigator using factual evidence to hunt the Silent Witch.
So the stakes couldn't be higher. Her cover is now solely dependent on her ability to mask a physical injury that Felix has already pinpointed as the key identifier.
It's an incredibly tense moment.
Okay, let's pause our unpacking here, because what we've seen in just 3 chapters is a breathtaking escalation. Monica is fighting a war on 3 fronts: her personal trauma and physical limitations, the political stage where Duke Clockford is trying to seize control of the sages, and the academic stage where Felix is inches away from revealing her identity.
It's a high-stakes tightrope walk built entirely on layers of deceit. We analyzed how the Norton family successfully weaponized social drama to create a perfect shield, but now that shield is being circumvented by hard evidence, that injury gathered by the second prince.
Right. It shows us that success in this world relies not on raw power, but on strategic obfuscation. That's why we call this the deep dive. The intricacies of this world, where a shy girl is the kingdom's greatest mage and most powerful noble is setting up the pieces to control her, require this level of focus. We're sifting through the source material to give you, the listener, the quickest route to being fully informed on the depth and nuance of this incredibly complex narrative.
And if you're finding this analysis helpful and enjoying the detailed breakdowns of the characters and the plot structure, please remember to subscribe to our channel for more detailed book explanations. We live to deliver these comprehensive analyses based entirely on the sources you provide.
And seriously, let us know in the comments, which book, article, or research topic should we dive into next? We thrive on your curiosity, so drop us a line with your requests.
All right, so we transition from the political maneuvering of the royals to the immediate pressures within the academy, starting with Chapter 4, Fateful Transfer Students. The key dynamic shift here is Monica becoming Glenn's tutor.
The environment at Serendia is definitely shaken up by the new arrivals. We have Hubert D., the artillery mage's nephew, and Monica's old rival from a previous volume, and then Robert Winkle, a muscular noble from Landor who is challenging Monica to games like chess, much to her intense social discomfort.
These new faces disrupt her carefully managed routine, but the real personal stake centers on Glenn Dudley.
Right. Driven by that traumatic feeling of helplessness during the Accursed Dragon incident, Glenn is pushing himself to learn quick chanting.
And we need to contextualize this. Quick chanting is a highly difficult, extremely advanced military technique designed for rapid spell deployment. It demands massive computational speed and mana control, and Glenn is straining himself severely, risking permanent damage.
Monica feeling a profound sense of responsibility and guilt over his injury. I mean, she knows she contributed to that scenario. She has to intervene. But she can't openly teach him without revealing her status as a sage.
So here's her calculated gamble. She offers guidance by subtly linking magecraft formulas to mathematical formulas, a subject she is legitimately proficient in as the student council accountant.
This small, discreet act of tutoring is a major risk, but it's critical for Glenn's psychological recovery and magical development. It shows Monica prioritizing her friend's well-being over the absolute safety of her cover.
She risks her secret identity just to alleviate his emotional pain and give him the tools to recover. It's a deeply humanizing moment.
Chapter 5 brings in the comic element with Third Prince Albert's big plan to make friends. The pivotal moment is the Tea Party misunderstanding.
Prince Albert, still viewing himself as a pawn in the Duke's game, attempts to assert his own political influence by targeting students he assumes are crucial to his rival Felix. He sincerely believes Monica and Glenn are Felix's favorites and seeks to recruit them.
The genius of the Norton family's stage torture comes full circle here.
It really does. Albert confronts them in a tea salon, completely misunderstanding the dynamic. He views Monica as Felix's neglected pet due to the widespread rumors of her mistreatment by House Norton and the assumed neglect by the student council president.
He believes Felix is forcing Monica to do shameless things that I can't even imagine.
Monica realizes her cover is not just intact, it's generating the exact type of political speculation and confusion needed to keep her safe. The fact that the highest stakes political players, the actual royals, are being fooled by rumors based on a carrot farmer's daughter pretending to drink stable water is the most profound irony of this volume.
Albert's misguided sympathy and his cream pie overtures just solidify the false narrative of Monica Norton, the pitiable outcast.
Unfortunately, that comic relief ends pretty abruptly with Chapter 6, the kidnapping of Monica Norton. Hubert D. forces the issue, and the key event is the forced duel.
Hubert, fueled by pure hunting instinct and his knowledge of Monica's true identity, forces Cyril and Glenn into a rigged magic battle. He knows that by making Monica the target, he compels the student council to participate in the duel to retrieve her.
He's forcing her hand.
Completely. And the method of the kidnapping is wondrously dramatic. Hubert literally hoists the diminutive Monica onto his shoulder and uses flight magecraft to escape the academy grounds.
This maneuver guarantees the duel takes place, placing all her friends in danger and making Monica choose between maintaining her cover and protecting those she cares about.
Before the duel, though, we get a critical character moment that underscores the bonds of the academy crew. The student council friends, Lana, Claudia, Neil, and Glenn rally around Monica, organizing a spontaneous class-cutting picnic in an empty classroom.
And Glenn, despite his own trauma, ensures Monica is comforted.
Yeah, Glenn, the former butcher boy, even prepares soft rillettes, a finely sliced and deboned pâté, specifically for Monica, because he knew she hadn't been able to eat properly due to the stress of the impending duel.
It's a small, deeply personal gesture that highlights the human cost of these political battles.
Even the usually stiff Cyril and Felix show up. Initially furious about the class cutting, they accept the bribe of rillettes and bread, confirming their commitment to winning the duel to save Monica. Cyril, ever the earnest upperclassman, promises to work Monica to the bone until graduation, a statement that surprisingly brings her a genuine smile.
It's a great moment. Which leads us to the duel in Chapter 7, Duel and Hunt. This is where Monica's genius finally breaks through her cover. The key event is the Silent Witch intervenes.
Hubert D. is fighting not for the princes, but for the thrill of the hunt. He defeats Cyril, Glenn, and Robert by using external, preset magical items, rings and earrings, to launch lightning and flame attacks remotely.
He's a tactician of traps.
Yeah.
He maintains this network of spells to defeat 3 powerful students easily, even allowing Glenn to land a hit just to draw out the final competitor, Robert. All 3 are quickly neutralized by mana deficiency.
So with her friends unconscious, Monica steps into the arena, dropping the Norton facade and revealing the Silent Witch to Hubbard. Her magic here is a computational masterpiece.
She deploys a powerful, newly developed ice spear using an advanced tracking formula. Now let's contextualize this technical detail. Standard tracking formulas for a projectile spell in this world last maybe 2 to 3 seconds.
Maybe.
Monica's spear remains active and tracking for a phenomenal 20 to 30 seconds, 10 times the norm. This requires massive, sustained mana stability and nearly superhuman computational effort to maintain a complex formula for that duration.
She uses this prolonged tracking spell to keep Hubbard engaged, forcing him to evade while ensuring her downed friends remain safe from stray fire. After forcing Hubbard to exhaustion, she analyzes his entire magical setup, identifying his central control item, the earring.
And she defeats him by disabling his item network and then forces him into silent, unbreakable allegiance and secrecy by delivering a focused surgical thump of pure mana through a stolen ring.
Hubbard, who only respects strength, happily complies, demanding the Silent Witch discipline him with the hardest thump possible. It's a wild scene.
But the crisis immediately spins out of control. The second kidnapping occurs. While Monica is dealing with Hubbard, Cyril and Glenn are found unconscious and then are inexplicably taken by spirits, Ice Spirit and Sejideo, and transported to the Gem Mage's Keely Linden Forest Villa.
Which confirms that the Gem Mage's magical operation is fully underway.
Right. So Chapter 8, Thump, details Louis' midnight summons to Monica and the revelation of the Gem Mage's apocalyptic weapon.
Louis arrives at Serendia to reinforce the magical barriers, but the sheer chaos overwhelms him. He discovers Glenn and Cyril are missing. And more distressingly, his high wind spirit, Rins Belfied, has severed their contract, which is unprecedented.
Louis immediately deduces that the Gem Mage is involved, having somehow acquired Galanis, the Flute of the False King, an ancient magical item previously associated with corrupting spirits.
Louis explains the severity of the threat. Emmanuel, the Gem Mage, is operating under the protection of Duke Clockford and is accumulating massive amounts of magical items and spirits at the Keely Linden Forest Villa. Louis fears Emmanuel is attempting to create a political crisis that would strip the sages of their authority and give the Duke total control over the kingdom's magical defense.
And Emmanuel is a genius craftsman, capable of creating multiple, powerful, illegal weapons. Louis' strategic instruction to Monica is critical. She must serve as a flashy diversion in the mana-dense forest area, while the other sages execute the extraction and destruction mission against Emmanuel.
So chapters 9 and 10 give us this utterly unique perspective of the kidnapped students. A distressing invitation from a midnight visitor and an offering to a spirit reveal the spirit's plea.
Cyril and Glenn awaken in the forest cave, realizing they weren't taken by an enemy, but rescued by spirits. The Ice Spirit and Sejideo, a mid-level earth spirit.
The spirits reveal they kidnapped the boys to beg for human assistance against the man with the flute, Emmanuel, who is controlling and corrupting spirits into magical items, causing widespread forest upheaval and deep distress among the magical entities.
The spirits explain their fear. They are powerless against the corruption of Galanis. The Ice Spirit, who has lost much of his power and forgotten his own name due to the Gem Mage's influence, looks utterly defeated.
And here's where we get peak Cyril Ashley, the earnest student council VP.
Oh, it's the best.
Despite facing existential spiritual threat, Cyril agrees to help, but insists they must approach Emmanuel at a respectful hour, because barging in on an aristocratic noble, even a maniacal sage trying to weaponize nature, is simply rude.
I have to stop you there. This is what makes this series so compelling. They are facing an ancient, corrupting flute capable of turning nature against them, and Cyril's biggest concern is social etiquette.
He's the most responsible person in a fantasy world, and it's a moment of perfect comedic irony that reminds us these are still just academy students fighting a war they shouldn't be in.
Exactly. His strict adherence to rules, even in the face of demonic spiritual corruption, is the anchor of his character. This leads to Chapter 11, Men Passing Through, where the various plot threads finally collide. The crucial event is the Unholy Alliance and Rins' attack.
Monica, diligently performing her diversionary role, encounters Bartholomeus, the craftsman who refused to work on the spirit-fueled weapons. Monica uses her power to summon Sheffield, king of the wind spirits, creating a green light gate to destroy a magically armored soldier sent by Emmanuel.
And the aftermath of the destruction reveals the horrifying truth and is a massive emotional blow to Monica. The armored soldier's core is a sealed spirit being used as a power source. The Gem Mage is literally committing soul slavery to create his army.
Bartholomeus, who provides intelligence, then drops the political bombshell. The traitor shaman Peter Sumsbury Oates, the man linked to the cursed dragon, worked for Duke Clockford about 8 years ago.
This timing is the ultimate convergence of the personal and political. Monica immediately connects this time frame to her father, Benedict Brain's, execution 7 years prior. The man who orchestrated the political chaos and sought to control the silent witch Duke Clockford is now strongly linked to her father's political elimination.
Her suspicion hardens into conviction. It fuels her magical output with pure rage and determination.
Meanwhile, the two other sages are executing the extraction. Ray and Raoul intervene just as Cyril and Glenn are about to be attacked by the controlled fire spirit Relva.
Ro unleashes the full, terrifying potential of the Witch of Thorns lineage, using immense plant magecraft to coil and skewer Relva with thorny vines, forcing the corrupted spirit to retreat.
And they maintain a perfect cover, posing as a gardener and a poet on a picnic, completely fooling the students they just rescued.
The chapter concludes with the final terrible twist. Monica is directly attacked by her colleague Louis's high wind spirit, Rin's Belfied, who is now under the complete corrupting control of Galanus.
Rin, taking the guise of a beautiful blonde maid, sets upon Monica with focused blades of wind meant to kill. The moral cost of the Gem Mage's actions has hit home, with colleague now set against colleague via their corrupted spirits.
The volume concludes with a secret episode and epilogue, Obstructing Winds. The ultimate staging event is the Star Spear Witch arrives.
Monica, despite facing the onslaught of a high wind spirit and magically armored soldiers, operates with her legendary precision. She begins meticulously analyzing the Gem Mage's complex magical items and the specific movement patterns of the armored soldiers.
She deduces that the soldiers expose a specific vulnerability near the spirit core, the left rib cage area, when they stretch their arm threads to attack.
Using this tiny window, she surgically strikes the connection formula within the armor with thin lightning arrows. This genius maneuver disables the soldiers and safely seals the trapped spirits, protecting them from Galanus' control.
This is the definition of the Silent Witch's genius. It's not brute force. It is computational and technical precision that others simply cannot match. She has the power to destroy, but she chooses to neutralize and save the corrupted spirits.
Simultaneously, outside the forest, Mary Harvey, the Starseer Witch, is joined by Carla Maxwell, the former sage, and Louis's esteemed fellow apprentice. Carla is known as the Starspear Witch, a figure of legendary genius capable of maintaining multiple complex spells simultaneously.
The sources detail her capacity to juggle at least 7 complex spells at once without showing any sign of strain.
Her appearance signals a massive escalation. The Gem Mage, emboldened by the power of Galanus, dismisses the approaching sages as non-threats, but the arrival of the Starspear Witch, a genius even among geniuses, indicates that the threat level has surpassed what the current 7 sages could handle alone.
Emmanuel commands the spirits to capture everyone except Louis, whom he explicitly orders to be killed. The stage is set for a monumental high-stakes confrontation in Volume 7, featuring the clash of 5 different types of magical genius.
So, if we synthesize this volume, it is a masterclass in narrative convergence. The personal political battle, Duke Clockford's ruthless pursuit of control, is now inextricably linked to the magical one, the Gem Mage's use of the ancient corrupting artifact, Galanus.
And at the absolute center of both battles lies Monica Everett, fighting to maintain her identity while avenging her father's political execution.
We saw every character pushed to their absolute limit, often in profoundly ironic ways. Monica used incredible magic fueled by justified rage. The terrifying aspects of her power emerged only when she was protecting her friends.
And Cyril and Glenn showed immense courage facing hostile spirits, tempered by Cyril's endearing, if misplaced, adherence to aristocratic etiquette.
And the seemingly frivolous plot points, like Raoul's desire for friendship or the Norton family's staged abuse, served as crucial strategic pivots. They successfully mislead detectives and royals while assembling the necessary investigation team. The ultimate threat revealed here is not just political dominance, but the profound corruption of magecraft and spirits,
which Louis views as an existential threat to the autonomy of all sages and the integrity of the kingdom's magical resources.
Exactly. We saw how meticulously Monica's cover has been maintained, surviving a private detective, the second prince's specific fact-based investigation, and now, the misguided recruiting schemes of the third prince.
The sheer density of the conflict, 2 separate, strategically important kidnappings occurring within a single day, shows the pacing and intensity of this arc.
The appearance of Carla Maxwell, the Starspear Witch, who can sustain 7 high-level spells simultaneously, is the ultimate sign that the Gem Mage's use of Galanus has achieved a threat level that requires reinforcements from the legendary elite. The stage is set for a confrontation where genius, whether Silent, Barrier, Abyss, Thorns, or Starspear, will have to face down an opponent powered by a corrupt ancient artifact.
It could potentially lead to the demise of one of their own faction.
It's a real possibility.
We now know the Gem Mage is using the Flute of the False King to turn spirits living, sentient sources of natural mana into fuel for his war machines, effectively weaponizing the very foundation of magic against the kingdom. But if the Gem Mage, a character with low mana capacity, is only interested in making powerful items, what is the true strategic endgame for an entire army of magically armored soldiers?
That's the question.
And how high up does this chain of corruption truly go when the Duke, already linked to Monica's father's execution, is setting the board for a new king? The political storm has gathered, and the forecast calls for absolute magical devastation. You have a lot to mull over until we see the results of this confrontation in the next volume.